Today on the program, my top 12 tips for self-editing. Maybe I can get that down to 10. Oh well, let's go. Hey guys and gals, boys and girls, authors and author wannabes. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Your old buddy Tim back as usual to dispense a little wit, wisdom, and advice on the topic of becoming a better writer. Hope things are going great in your world. On the program today, my 12 tips for self-editing. Maybe I should try to edit those down to 9 or 10. We'll see what we can do. But before we get started, hey, don't forget, if you enjoy what I do on this program, and God forbid you don't, because this is an entertainment value, click the subscribe button below. Give me a like, a thumbs up, and also don't forget to leave a question or comment. And if I use your question or comment on a future program, you will get a free digital copy of one of my books, Angel of Mercy or Sins of the Father. Today I wanted to talk about self-editing. Yes, that terrible chore that most writers just really hate to do. Most writers are terrible self-editors because most writers, like myself, we like the sound of our own voice. We like the words on the page, and God forbid you try to edit those words. But I have to tell you, and I'm speaking strictly from experience here, you have to learn to self-edit your work because a lot of those words that you think are great, not so much. So here's how I did it, and this is a learned skill. It's not something you're going to be able to do well out of the gate, but if you focus on these 12 tips, and there are lots of others, there are lots of books out there that you can get on how to self-edit. I recommend those. So tip number 1. Cut those long run-on sentences. You've seen those sentences. You've probably written a few of them that just seem to go on and on and on and on and on. And, lots of commas, maybe a semicolon thrown in here. Cut those long sentences down. And I'm not just talking about, again, the run-on sentence. It's the sentences that just, they have like 10 different thoughts in one sentence. Or, they address 10 different things. I'm a big fan of short sentences with periods afterwards because what it does is it helps the reader focus. If you go on and on and on, it's very hard, kind of like this. Are you getting what I'm doing here? Comma, he said, winking at the camera. Cut those long sentences down. If you can take a paragraph that is, this humongous long run-on sentence and cut that down into shorter sentences and get rid of a lot of the stuff. A lot of those sentences have what I call packing peanuts. You just fill them with words and commas to make things sound better. So that's number 1. Cut the long sentences. See, I could have said all of that in just one sentence. I ran on. I demonstrate. Number 2, cut those ly words. All those adverbs that you use. An adverb really can weaken a story. It doesn't enhance it. A lot of writers think that you have to use an adverb, an ly word, to describe the action. Like moved quickly, or said angrily, or laughed loudly. Replace all those adverb combinations with stronger verbs. Rather than, ran quickly, maybe he sprinted or, something. Cut those words also. This is another one. Words like very, really, just. I see those a lot. Hell, I use them a lot. I always go back and cut them out. But there's no need typically the word use words like very. He was angry. He was very angry. He was irate. There you go. That's a demonstrator of what I'm talking about. So adverbs weaken. They do not enhance. Replace those adverb-verb combinations with stronger verbs. Number 3. Oh, my God, I see this a lot. It kills me. Do not change point of view in the middle of a sentence or the middle of a chapter or even the middle of a paragraph. I've seen that done. Point of view. It's okay to use more than one point of view, more than one voice, but you have to do it in such a way that it doesn't confuse the reader. If you've got one sentence from Larry's point of view and the next sentence from Mary's point of view, it gets really confusing. It's almost like they can read each other's mind, and that's really not what you want. Readers do not like that. Trust me on this one. So don't change the point of view. Use one voice, I believe, per chapter. You see this a lot in the romance genre. You'll have a chapter by, Brad, the hero, and then the next chapter will be by Mary, the heroine. So if you're going to change voices, split them up where it makes sense. Number 4 in my top 12 tips for self-editing. For the love of God, learn to use punctuation correctly. Oh my God, I make a good portion of my living as an editor of fiction and nonfiction, and I cannot tell you how many authors do not know how to use a comma, there's a period, a semicolon, a colon. I see parentheses. I see, ellipses. It'll drive you crazy. Folks, learn to use punctuation correctly. It's not that hard. The period is the most used punctuation mark, probably followed by the comma and then the question mark. I'm not a fan of the exclamation mark. Not on the written word. I'm just not. All right. Number 5, again, this is a big one. I see it a lot. Show, don't tell. And that simply means show the action. Let the reader read the action rather than you telling them about the action. For example, if I said, Tim heard the door slam. That is me telling you that I heard the door slam. But if I said something like the slamming door jarred Tim from his thoughts while he was doing the video, that is showing. Show, don't tell. Get rid of words like heard, felt, those kind of words that connotate what the character is feeling. Show the effect on the character. All right. Number 6, I see this one a lot too. Don't use big words. I see so many authors trying to impress the reader with big words, trying to prove how smart they are. I'm a big fan of little words, small words, itty bitty words. Okay. Don't try to impress the reader by being obsequious or clairvoyant or nondescript. See what I mean? This kind of gets on your nerve. Don't use big words. Don't try to impress the reader with your vocabulary. Here's another one. Number 7, don't write in other languages. I was, and still am, a big fan of like John le Carré, the guy who wrote those spy novels. There was always some French bastard in there causing trouble, and le Carré would write in these long French. And I would be reading that going, what? What is he? I don't understand what's going on. If you're writing to an English audience, write in English. You can put the words down, but translate them or do something that the reader is not left wondering what the hell's going on because he doesn't speak Spanish or French. If your book requires a Spanish, French, German dictionary, put that up front. Let us know. Don't write in other languages. It's annoying. Number 8, keep the tense consistent. I see this all the time. Writers will go from past to present to future, and that's typically reflected in words like, says or said, has or had, saw or seen. It's words. The difference between the past and the present. Write in one of those tenses, okay? Take your pick. I'm a big fan of the past tense. I use words like said, had, went, that sort of thing. So whatever, point of view or tense that you choose, stick with it throughout the whole story. Let's see. Number 9, again, another big one. These are all big ones. Write on the reader's level. That simply means don't write over the head of your reader. Most readers, sadly enough, in the United States, read on a 3rd and 4th grade level. So unless you are writing great literary prose that is aimed at the academia, you need to write like folks read. You can just go over someone's head and they will not enjoy your book. So that goes back to the old adage we talk about a lot. Start with the end in mind. Keep in mind who's reading your books. You are writing to a particular audience. Know what that audience expects, and you write on that level. Number 10, Don't be redundant. I got to tell you, I have a hard time with this one because I will just beat a horse to death. You know, if you are reading back over what you have written and you said the exact same thing up there and then you say it again down there and you say it again over here, you need to get rid of those redundancies. Here's a great little story for you. I used to write a small business column syndicated in newspapers around the South. And I remember the very first time that I submitted a column to my editor. Now, he said, you know, we need 1,000 words. I'm like, 1,000 words? That's not a lot. So I submitted to him an article that was 2,000 words. And I thought, in my mind, they were all very good words. Every word was required. How dare you try to put a governor on this brain? And so the editor came back to me and he says, this is great, but we only have room for 1,000 words, which means, Tim, that you can edit it or I can. Well, I have to tell you, that was an eye-opener to me, and I went back and I did an edit, and I turned those 2,000 words into 1,000 words, and I learned something there that I still preach to this day on the program. Here is anything that you can write in a paragraph rather than a chapter, write it in a paragraph. Anything you can write in a sentence rather than a paragraph, write it in a sentence. Shorter the better, be concise, get rid of those redundancies, okay? Let's see. Oh, yeah. Number 12, number 11. Almost there. Thank God, I'm getting tired. This one pertains to dialogue. When you are writing dialogue, you need to write like people talk, especially the characters in your books. Okay, I see this so much. You'll have just a basic character who will all of a sudden be talking like he's some kind of professor. Or, you've got a white guy who speaks like he's from the hood. I've seen this, folks. Make sure your dialogue represents the people that are doing the talking. And always write like people talk. People use contractions. Do they not? Don't they? Always keep in mind things like that. Put that dialogue in your head and speak like you would speak. Of course, lend the character's voice to your dialogue. And number 12, finally, the number 12 tip that I have for self-editing, use word spell check and Grammarly. That's the one thing I love about Word. It's got your built-in spell check, your grammar check. You can run that, and it's not going to hit everything, but it'll get most of the typos or grammatical errors. You can even use something like Grammarly, which is a program that you have to buy separately, but there's a plugin for Word that will also check your spelling. Scrivener has its built-in spell check. Always use the software to kind of come in behind you and do a final check before you move on. So there you go, Tim's 12 tips for self-editing, a very long-winded video that probably could have been done in far less time, but this is how I speak. So, hey, if you've got questions or comments, again, how do you edit? Give me some of your tips. Tell me what you do. Drop them in below. And again, if I use your questions or comments on the program, I will send you a free digital copy of one of my books, both of which have been self-edited and then professionally edited. That's the next thing. Just because you self-edit it does not mean it's good to go. You may want to look at having a professional editor give it a swipe. So, hey, there you go. Hope that was helpful to you. Don't forget, subscribe, like, give us a thumbs up, and submit a question or comment. And hopefully, Tim's 12 long-winded tips on self-editing has helped you become a better writer. Whew.